everyone, my name is Aparna Rangnikar, and as the festival director and curator, I welcome you to the 4th edition of the Visual Arts of South Asia Vasa Arts Festival. The festival was started by Arts and Culture Initiative of South Asia, fondly known as AKISA, to promote South Asian art and introduce its unique flavor to mainstream art enthusiasts. It is also a platform to local and regional professional, emerging as well as amateur artists. The festival has annual art exhibition called Colors of South Asia. It has art workshops and community art project. Over the years, the Vasa Arts Festival has grown to partner with local art organizations to collaborate with various events during the festival. Although putting together this year's arts festival due to the current situation has been a bit challenging and a huge learning curve to facilitate a virtual exhibition, it has also been a rewarding experience. We were able to reach larger audiences and received an overwhelming response to our nationwide artist call and have almost 40 artists participating in the Colors of South Asia. And what's even more exciting is that more than 20% of these participants are youth. I would like to thank all our funders for their generous support and our art partners for their collaboration. Do visit our website vasaartsfestival.ca to view the inspiring Colors of South Asia virtual exhibition. Get to know the artists on the Vasa Facebook page. Give them a like, leave them an encouraging comment, and follow us to participate in some amazing workshops that are offered by our art partners and some of the participating artists in this year's exhibition. Thank you.
Hi, this is Iman. I would like to thank Visual Arts of South Asia Arts Festival for this opportunity to facilitate the workshop for its Colors of South Asia virtual exhibition. Hi everyone, I'm Iman. I'm a visual artist and curator. I graduated from OCAD University. It's my first time leading this workshop online or through video, so please bear with me if I go through any technical issues or anything like that. I'm so excited to be here today and introduce you to the world of collage. Today we will cover a brief introduction into the history of collage as well as its influences and advantages. The workshop will conclude with talking about my own processes of making collage. I've been using collage as a medium for the past few years and have found it very useful in my own practice, especially when it comes to making images for paintings, such as the ones that you can see behind me. I made most of these paintings by using reference images that I had made through this process of making collages that I'm going to talk with you about today. So you might be wondering right now, what exactly is collage? Collage originates from the French word coller, spelled as C-O-L-L-E-R, which means to glue or stick together. It was first coined by Cubists Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque, who were interested in depicting multiple perspectives in a single space. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to capture all viewpoints and perspectives of an object, a landscape, anything that they were trying to depict within one single image, so to show all sides of something simultaneously. These artists used the word to describe works composed from pasted pieces of combined papers, newsprints, and fabrics. This was considered at the time to be avant-garde, which means innovative and experimental, and it was a mix of high and low culture. This technique also influenced other artists who pioneered similar techniques such as photomontage. Photomontage is when you use pre-existing photographs often taken from mass media sources, which is magazines, newspapers, now internet, in order to create a composite image. So the artists working at the time, such as the following image, They were interested in topics such as industrialization that was happening during the time, the role of women and industry. So they took images from propaganda and such sources in order to talk about these issues. And so by using these techniques of collaging, or what they called as photomontage, they were able to put together already existing images and ideas and put them together in order to create something new and talk about issues that are relevant or that were relevant to them during the time that they were creating their work. So photomontage can be kind of seen as the photographic equivalent of a collage. So a collage, as the cubists would have it, was taking everyday materials and putting it together, and photomontage is taking that idea one step further and using found photographs in order to talk about these issues. From these images, we can see that collage has influenced artists throughout all of art history. But why use collage? Now, collage has a lot of advantages as a medium in order to create something, like I said before, in order to talk about ideas and issues and taking things that already exist and creating something new about it. By thinking about collage as a multi-layered work of art, the process of making collage can allow us to visually edit composition without having to redo all of the final elements. So you can, when you're making a collage, because you have all the pieces that you're going to place on your canvas or your paper or whatever the final result is going to be, you can move them around and play with composition and elements, the themes, and so on and so forth. So it also allows you to play with perspective and space through reconfiguration kind of your ideas. So you have everything visually laid out for you already, and it's a matter of moving things around and seeing what works visually, what works thematically, what works compositionally, and so on and so forth. So it because of what I mentioned earlier about its ability to take pre-existing images and ideas and putting them together, collage also then presents the possibility to represent various viewpoints and experiences and bring together otherwise unconnected images, ideas, that would normally not go together. So you can bring those things together and create new connections and new ideas, creating something new out of things that already exist pretty much. So each element in the collage then will create a different meaning. So for example, in my own work, I use a lot of patterns, and patterns have a history of representing oppression. Similarly, color plays a huge role in my artwork. By bringing in color, you can talk about its associations with emotions and gender and so on and so forth. So one little thing that you add to your collage or your artwork can totally change the meaning behind what you're creating. The specific elements that you choose will say a lot about the final outcome, and unexpected meanings will emerge when you put those things together, for example, through the contrast of forms, complementary colors, and so on and so forth. So for example, in my own work, by pairing patterns with the Muslim veil, it emphasizes the Muslim veil and ideas of women associated with marginalization, oppression, and so on. Talking about my own work, for me, the process of making collages starts with deciding what to include first and foremost as the main element of my final product. What is going to stand out? So for me, it's always veiled figures. That is always my main element. And this emerges mainly through my research of Muslim women and acts of veiling. So I either find an image of a figure from the internet or from a magazine, and I try to kind of see what position I want my figure to be in, what are they doing. And by even choosing the position of the figure, it really helps me to figure out what the final artwork will be about. Once I have my main element, that is the figure, the veiled figure, then I will either print out the image or draw it out. And by doing that and separating your main element from like an environment, from an already created environment, helps it to stand in its own right and reference particular ideas that you're trying to achieve in your own work. And then by putting it together with the other elements that you choose, you'll be able to create new connections and new contexts to your own work. So then once you have your main element, the next step will include searching for patterns, colors, textures, anything kind of in the background or to complement your main element that you're going to be adding to the collage. You want to cut it out, print it out, draw it out. There's so many ways to do this. You're not only restricted to things you find in the magazines or on the internet. You can always draw something on a piece of paper and cut it out. And again, that saves you the trouble of having to draw the whole picture and you messing up one thing and feeling disappointed. You can always cut it out. If you have an old artwork that you love one part of, you can cut it out and collage it into something new. So while you're looking for these elements, you back and forth between the main element and these other elements that you're choosing and kind of find connections between them. So by looking at them separately and together, you can create these connections. So for example, in my work, if the figure is black and white, then I'll probably look into some sort of colors, into some sort of bright colors that will complement it. Or even if it's colored, then you look for some type of color that will complement it and will tie everything together for you. My figure has a pattern on it. If the figure itself has a pattern, then I'm not going to want to put too many patterns and too many textures in it. So I'm going to find something in the background that complements what I'm choosing as my main element. So then once you kind of have everything laid out, then you can physically place them on the paper. You can kind of move them around, see where things goes. And this all ties back to what I was saying earlier about being able to control the perspective and space of your artwork. So you can move things around. If you make a mistake, you're not tied to it at that moment until you physically glue things on in the end. So at this step, you're just laying things out and figuring out compositionally where everything is going, all the formal elements, line, shape, color, form, and then the elements of design, harmony, rhythm, unity, and so on and so forth. So you can play with all these things within your artwork. You can even create a few different versions of your artwork if you have copies on hand, or if it's something that you're drawing, or even you can replace some elements and make something completely new. Even if you glue something on, you can always cut it back up and make a new collage. So there's a lot of advantages of using this medium. This will allow you, through trial and error and process of elimination, to visualize your idea through collage, through making. So this is kind of like thinking through making. You don't have a predetermined plan, or you even could have a predetermined plan, but you're not going to know what you're going to be doing with your final collage until you have all your elements and you've made all those kind of preliminary decisions in reaching the point of actually making the collage. So it allows for a lot of room to make mistakes, to change things, especially if you're not comfortable or permanent, like paint or any other medium, charcoal, anything that's hard to get rid of something once you've put it on there. I usually do this whole process through cutting and pasting things because I myself am a very, very hands-on person, and I love to just get in there and do these kind of things. I'm always cutting things, saving things. Sometimes I already have a bunch of scraps and things lying around that I like to use to do these things. Sometimes I have an idea and I find things in relation to the idea. So it really depends on what your process is. And like I said, it's pretty much open. It differs from person to person. Each person will have their own way of approaching this and achieving this. And I know times are uncertain and it's hard to go outside and get all the supplies you need, but the good thing is that this activity and the process of making collage can be done with everyday items that you find right at your home. I would like to invite you to find those items in your home. Any types of magazines, newspapers, scraps of papers, things you found on the internet, that you have access to a printer and you can print out, or you can copy and draw. You can use all those things already at home using, like I said, materials that you have available or you find or you can somehow procure. What you'll need is a paper for the final collage. It can be anything. It really depends on what you're going to do with the collage. If it's going to be the final outcome, then you want something a little nicer, maybe a little bit of a heavier board to support it, that you can get framed or you can display as you like. Or if it's for a reference image and you're not worried about what will happen to it, you can always use any paper lying at home. You just need a blank piece of paper. It can be any size, any orientation that you prefer and you would like to work with. And you can also always scan the final product in order to have something digital with you on hand later if you need. So other than the final paper, you're gonna need something to cut with. So this can be scissors or an X-Acto knife, some glue and tape, as well as some pens, pencils, markers, crayons, etc. if you're interested in writing. These aren't requirements that you need to have, but these are things that you can incorporate as well. And then, like I mentioned before, images, patterns. It can be some form of writing that you're interested in or that inspires you. It can be a poem, it can be cutouts from newspapers. Literally, you can use anything you want. If you have kids at home or your nieces, nephews, or your own kids, you can always use their arts and crafts supplies as well. So the possibilities are endless with this medium. Or alternatively, if you don't have all these kinds of arts and craft materials available at home and you have access to a computer, you can always use some sort of software or computer app. There's so many apps available now. You can use some app to digitally draw all the elements and then put them together and kind of work in the same process that I talked about today, but just do it digitally. If you are interested in the digital way of making collages and you don't have access to a software, there's a really interesting and amazing app. It's free, but it's only on Google Play. It's called Sketch, and it's free to download. So if you're into that, you can always download that app. That's kind of the whole process of how to go about from beginning to end to make a collage. And the best thing about this is that you can either use the collage like I do as reference images for paintings, or you can kind of use it as the final product. So I would like to invite you now to create your own collages at home. What drew you to these particular elements? What do they mean to you personally? Like I said, why did you choose them, and what other connotations do they have? What larger ideas, themes do they speak to? How do all your elements that you chose came together? How do they speak to one another? And what new meanings do they create? And also think about what the future possibility is for you with collage. So I hope you enjoyed my workshop, and I do hope that you give this a try at home. Thank you so much for listening, and stay safe.